Hey there, WellHouse Church. Pastor Cullen here. Excited to be back with you for another week, telling stories to you through the story of the book of Acts. And, I've spent most of today, when I'm recording this, it's Saturday before this goes out. I've spent most of today reflecting on the situation with Russia and the Ukraine and Europe and the U.S. and the way all of this is potentially going to impact, honestly, the world. If this goes a certain way, this will have worldwide impact. All because one man, Mr. Putin, got greedy and wanted to do some things on his own power. And I don't know if he's hubris or if he's just thinking that nobody's going to call his bluff. But because of his own power, he's escalated a situation where it looks as though he's about to take on most of the world, because one person thought that actions under his own power was more advantageous than what was beneficial for all. And that's a similar idea to what our story this morning speaks of. We're going to be in Acts chapter 3, picking up in verse 11. And if you remember last week, Peter and John were on their way to pray, and they end up healing, or Peter ends up healing a lame person just outside the city gates. And it says, and they went away together. Well, the text picks up as when they went away together, and all of these people begin to come around. And the text says they were astonished, or utterly astonished. They could not believe that this man who had been lame since birth for his entire life was now walking. They were perplexed. And this is what Peter says to them. When Peter saw it, he addressed the people, "You Israelites, why do you wonder at this? Why do you stare at us? As though by our own power or piety we had made him walk." Peter can't believe that they can't believe that this happened. It's almost as if they've forgotten that they serve a powerful God. And so Peter asks them, it's like, why do you look at us as though we've done this on our own power? Because when people do things according to their own power, they begin to look a little different. They look more like what we're seeing at the border of Russia and Ukraine. When people do things according to their own power, things don't look the way that they look when God's deeds of power are at work. And here's Peter's example. Peter clearly does not think that their own piety or power is what did it. He's very convinced that Jesus did this. And as proof, he recalls their own actions of piety and power under their own accord and what that led them to, which is this. The God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, the God of our ancestors has glorified his servant Jesus, whom you handed over and rejected in the presence of Pilate, though he had decided to release him. But you rejected the holy and righteous one and asked to have a murderer given to you. And you killed the author of life, whom God raised from the dead. To this we are witnesses. See, what I think Peter is saying is, you're looking at us astonished because we've done this, as if we've done this on our own power. No. This is the way you should have been acting all along. We're not acting under our own power. You acted under your own power when you killed Jesus. You Israelites, your piety and your power led you to kill, to murder the author of life. I believe that's what Peter is saying. And Peter says, you go on living your piety. You go on living your power. But what we're doing, that ain't it. This is what we're doing. Verse 16. And by faith in his name itself has made this man strong, whom you see and know, and the faith that is through Jesus has given him this perfect health in the presence of all of you. If you remember back to the first week, I told you that this book should not be titled Acts of the Apostles. I'm stealing this from Tim Mackey of the Bible Project, but what it really should be called is the Acts of Jesus through the Holy Spirit, through the apostles. Peter very much so believes that Jesus is at work in these moments, that it's the power, God's deeds of power found in the truth of the person of Jesus that is making these things happen. And so he looks at the Israelites and says, you are coming at us perplexed that we are doing these things as if we're doing them under our own power. But you're the one that's actually been acting under your own power, and look what it got you. You murdered, you killed the author of life because you acted under your own power and piety. But us, we are acting under God's deeds of power in the person of Jesus, that his name made this man healed. And my piety is prayer and devotion to Jesus, God's deeds of power found in the truth and experience of the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. So, WellHouse Church, I want to ask you, are we living under our own power and piety? Who are we in the story? Are we doing the things that we've always done because they seem like the right thing to do? Or the thing that we're comfortable with, the thing we've always known? Or are we going to step up and we're going to be Peter? We're going to look for a new experience of God's deeds of power and action. We're not going to keep doing the same thing, but we're going to look for a new experience of God's deeds of power. And we're going to be pious. We're going to be given over to faithful living to the person of Jesus. So my question to you today is, are we going to continue to act on our own power and piety? Or are we going to turn ourselves over to the power and piety of Jesus?